while I was working, I have this 3-year-old kid that I get like every day. So like I never think anything of it when he
You've got
comes in.
another kid?
Yes. Oh, we've determined I've had litters of kids. By the way, honey,
Litters.
I have litters of kids.
Tassels, even.
Um, so this week, we'll call him Tommy. Tommy came in and he was playing with his car, and I keep telling him stop running. So and he wouldn't stop running. So I pull him off to the side. I'm like, Tommy, if you don't stop running, I'm gonna take the car away. And he looks at me and gives me the most evil look and says, "Fuck off."
I like this kid already.
This kid is 3 years old. So yeah,
Based off that language, it really could be your kid.
there's a good chance of it.
Quality upbringing for that kid.
Yes. It's your fault.
So, by getting this whimsical story about the exploits of strange, random children, you guys know we're here for another episode of All Things Good Nerdy. It fits in great.
Yes.
Welcome to episode 106 of ATGN, recorded live on Star Wars Day 2014. That is May the 4th. Yes, May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
Exactly. We're going to use this day to talk about a couple cool things in the world, and then we're going to say farewell to the Star Wars EU because it just got killed, and it's kind of saddening. I know, I'm bummed. I'm Chris. With me, as usual, is Naki and Anthony, and I'm going to toss it over to Naki. I'm going to let her introduce all our guests because we got quite the full house for you guys today.
Yep.
Make me do things. All right. Well, we'll start with the one who I'm sharing the panel with. Which, if you're watching live, you can see there's 2 people in my little panel today instead of just me. Yeah. So, in case y'all are wondering, Boyfriend is real, and this is him, and he has a lot to say on Star Wars.
Oh.
So this is Keith. So everybody say hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
We're actually
He's
not
real and
sitting-
does not appear to be battery operated.
Nope.
Not at the moment.
Oh.
She's got him plugged in right now instead of on batteries, I guess.
It's
He's
true.
charging.
I'm just gonna go down the line. Next to me, I have Leroy
Hey.
from Let Us Nerd. You joined us before, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a while. My chum Greg isn't here today, my fellow co-host of Let Us Podcast, but I'm here.
He's helping me represent West Virginia today.
Yeah.
There's more than one of us here from the state. It's like the old school ATGN when Adahay and I both rep the state.
Aww. Oh, Adahay. One day he'll return. And then next to Leroy, we have a newcomer. We have Danielle,
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
who is awesome, and I know
Welcome.
personally, and I don't think we slept together for her to get on here.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. There's been a couple drunk nights between the 2 of us. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
Interesting. So, before we move on, we've got Big Pop on the chat room. He's got a comment for Naki. He goes, Naki, you seem so much more upright than usual, as opposed to sprawled out on the bed.
I've been broadcasting in here for a few weeks now.
It's true. It's true.
Damn it, Steven, Big Papa.
El Presidente.
Well,
Flip top head.
that's just what my phone autocorrects his last name into President. So he's just Mr. President.
Damn, autocorrect.
He's the
Yeah.
President of Canada.
Just like my autocorrect always kills me because it always thinks I'm trying to say duck you, and I swear to God I'm not. It just autocorrect needs to learn at some point that when I say that, I actually truly mean fuck you when I'm saying that to someone.
Well, if you follow Matt Miner on Twitter, he talks about how his autocorrect does instead of you, it says poo.
Yes.
So he texts his wife, "I love poo" a lot.
It's
Nice.
fantastic when I saw that.
So autocorrect is either awesome or awful.
It could be a little bit of both, maybe? I don't know.
Depending on the day.
I mean, alright, well, I guess we should start rolling into the actual show stuff, but before we talk Star Wars, I'm kind of spraying to some people. If anyone has anything they want to bring up for News of the Week, feel free. The only reason I'm saying this is because I wanted to share something, so let us roll into our News of the Week.
Damn it, Chris.
Go for it.
I'm gonna go real quick because
I
this
didn't
one's
prepare
short.
anybody for that.
Oh,
No, if you don't have anything, that's fine. I just saw something right before the show that I wanted to share. That's why I'm doing it. Is that Microsoft is supposedly negotiating with Showtime to bring the Halo series to TV. That was supposed to be on the Xbox exclusive, and from what I'm seeing is it's supposedly close to a deal, but Showtime wants them to air the shows on TV before they put them on Xbox. This is the Steven Spielberg produced Halo series, so yeah, I'm excited.
I still don't know the story of Halo, and I've played that game so many times.
Big dude in armor blows stuff up.
Cool.
something about a chief or something like that.
Yeah, he's a master chef and he likes to shoot people.
He works with Gordon Ramsay because they're both master chefs.
Yay!
I'm not sure how you pluralize that. I think it's master chefs.
Sneaks up behind aliens, shoots him in the head, and says, "You donkey!"
So, did anyone else have
Something about Raw.
Did anyone else have anything they've seen this week they wanted to bring up? I know I sprang it on you guys.
I saw one quick little thing. They're trying to do an animated series for Chew, which I think will be fucking spectacular if they pull that
That's-
off.
So not kid friendly.
No.
No, it'll be an amazing adult cartoon, and yeah, it'll be great if they can pull it off. Because yeah, that's not something they could really do live action, but I think would work great as an animated show.
So, for those people that aren't familiar with Chew, why don't you give them a little bit of background that might be listening in?
It's a world where there's a Symbiopass is the first superpower you're introduced to. People who get memories of items that they eat, which includes basically anything. So if Tony Chu takes a bite out of your finger, he will see your entire history. And so it starts off by introducing a character with that ability, and then goes on to introduce a lot of other kind of strange food-based superpowers. Like there's a guy that can carve anything out of chocolate, and I mean anything, like a fully functioning M16
Holy shit,
carved out
that's
of
awesome.
chocolate. There's the world's most powerful secret agent is actually a chicken that can kill anybody. It's one of the most outrageous comic books ever. One of the best things about it is Chew doesn't fit into any categories. Rob Layman, the writer, and I can't think of his name, the artist. Like the writing style is off the wall. Gilliard, the artist, is just he's got this crazy kind of tweaked animated artwork style in and of itself that just wouldn't fit really on any other book that I can think of. But those two together working on the book Chew is just spectacular. That's some of the best trade paperbacks I've ever bought. My wife loves it. Everybody I've ever given the book to has loved it. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Chew.
So you can see why that cartoon might not be kid-friendly. Big Papa in the chat room has brought up, hasn't the Chew animated rumor been going on for a couple of years? I don't know. This is the first I've heard it.
Possibly. I know. This is the first time I've heard of it, and the rumor I heard, or I'm not sure if it was a rumor or if it was a news story, but they talked about possibly getting the actor that plays Glenn on The Walking Dead as Tony Chew, and I believe Felicia Day as his animated love interest.
That would be
And it would
interesting.
have super nerd cred too.
Draftsman also asked in reference to the Halo stuff. He goes, "Wait a minute, you mean the show Red vs. Blue by Rooster Teeth is not canon?"
Red versus Blue.
Actually, our talking about Chew does give me a good point I can bring up here, just because it's a good story. If you guys are interested in reading Chew Volume 1, or the stories got you interested, go check out the Humble Bundle this month, or for the next 9 days, because this Humble Bundle is Image Comics. And if you donate the average right now, which is $9.62, you unlock Chew Volume 1, which is issues 1 through 5, in addition to East of West Volume 1, Fatale Volume 1, Lazarus Volume 1, Morning Glories Volume 1, Saga Volume 1, and Revival Volume 1. That's a lot of comics for $9.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you 4 of those would be worth the $9 alone.
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
So, if that
I'm-
has you intrigued, go to humblebundle.com down and do that. It's a great deal. I haven't done it yet. It's on my
It's
list
an
of things to do.
amazing bundle.
That is a really good bundle. I have the first 2 trades of Chew, and apparently I'm going to need to invest. But Chew got me hooked on the first issue alone. So, Saga, which is also mentioned in there, I've got him hooked many, many times, or once, which, whatever. I've gotten a lot of, but when I used to work in the comic book store, that was one of the ones that I could get people on every time. Everybody loves Saga.
Mm.
I've heard a lot of good things about East of West. I read the first issue, but I couldn't get into it. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset. So when I get
East
the
of
bundle,
West is great, but it's super like intricate storytelling.
okay.
It's kind of
I've
slow
been getting
moving,
into the
too.
individual issues, and I think it would actually read a lot better in trades because there's so much going on. But it's a crazy political world that's dealing with the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe I read more than the first issue. I can't remember now.
I thought it was. I think it's good. I just thought it was a little slow moving for my liking.
Yeah, East of West, it is a little slow moving, but it's simply because there are so many characters and so much going on that when things ramp up, it's insane. And just to give credit where credit's due, the creators of Chew are John Layman and Rob Guillory, both
Right.
who are also amazing on Twitter.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing to remember, if you do get the Image Humble Bundle, is all of these comics are DRM free. You can get them in whatever format you want, I believe. So once you
Yep.
get them, you own them. You can put them on whatever device you want. You don't have to have a Comixology viewer or anything like that. You just read them and enjoy them.
Yep. Which also, if anybody doesn't know, Image does that on their website. If you
Yes.
actually download any Image books from Image, you get DRM free Image comics when you
Exactly.
buy their digital books.
And as we speak right now, there's about 9 days running left on this Humble Bundle, and they have sold 22,755 bundles. So that's a good deal, because when we did the Gonna Geek cast on Wednesday, I guess it was, or Tuesday, they'd only sold like 9,000. So it's ramping up, and with 9 days to go, they're probably going to sell a good number of them.
Yay!
So fantastic. Humble Bundle, I love that thing. And looking back in the chat room, Big Papa has beat us over the
Yeah.
head with facts on Chew. Evidently, in July 2010, it was announced that production company Circle of Confusion, the same that do the Walking Dead TV show, was planning to adapt Chew. It was revealed in March 2011 that Showtime was developing into a half-hour comedy series. Yeah, okay. And then Chew was a mention in Heart of Dixie on February 1st, 2013, where the writer of Chew posted the following status on Facebook: Chew, Showtime TV show not happening. Why is Big Papa referencing Heart of Dixie?
That
On
I
here.
don't know.
He's
But
from
yeah, if John
Canadian.
Layman says it's not happening, that's kind of sad because that's probably true then. Damn,
No.
that would be an awesome cartoon.
Give it time. I mean, these things come around again. If
True.
Kevin Smith
Mhm.
can make a cartoon out of Clerks, anything can be a cartoon.
That's true.
That's right.
But the Clerks cartoon was amazing.
Yes, it was. The Clerks cartoon is still amazing.
Now I want to put that on. We're gonna watch
Did anyone
that.
else have anything they wanted to bring up before we roll into our Star Wars side of things?
I saw
Oh.
news and I forgot what it is instantaneously.
That must have been great news then.
Must have been a lie.
I know Anthony
Out the
did
Kleenex. It's
Anthony
Brian
did go
time.
and see Amazing Spider-Man this last week, so I think he's probably the only one out of us that has so far.
I've heard bad things about it.
I've heard nothing good.
Everybody
Except
that's
for from
talking shit
Anthony.
about that movie can kiss my ass. That movie is fucking spectacular.
See,
You should
here's
go
my
see it,
problem
I
is
guess.
I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like it, considering I didn't like the first one.
Well, yeah,
But
if you don't like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, then you're probably not going to like the return of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
I like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I don't like him as Peter Parker.
He's got some pretty good Peter Parker moments in the new one.
That's good. And I still, to this day, and I know I've bitched about it a lot, I'm going to do it one more time, I hate the bastardized version of "With great power comes great responsibility" that they rolled out in this series.
That is my least favorite thing about the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. But yeah, Dane DeHaan as little crazy Harry Osborn puts out a spectacular fucking performance. Giamatti's funny. He's really cool playing the Rhino. Spoiler free, I'm not going to say anything about the movie, but the actors all turned in really good performances. Fucking Jamie Foxx was the one I was really scared of when they showed the blue Smurf version of Electro. It's like, oh my god, that's going to look awful. And then just what I realized when I saw the previews is as soon as they actually put him in motion and you have the electricity flowing through his body with the CGI, he's fucking amazing. He might be one of the best villains that they've done in a superhero movie in a really long time. Because he goes through an actual full character arc, and it's a lot of background story that Max Dillon really didn't have as a character in the comics, and so they kind of fleshed him out, and it's really not the Max Dillon from the comics, but it's a really good supervillain.
I will go and see it. I fully admit that I'm curious about it, but it is not a must-see movie for me like Captain America was. Captain America, I was like, I have to see this. I'm so excited I have to see this. You can ask my girlfriend that after that movie, I just kind of was in a nerd daze for like 3 hours. I was like, that was so cool when they did this. It was so cool when they mentioned that. It was bad.
Yes,
More
I left
Falcon,
Captain
I saw
America
that.
happy. I left Amazing Spider-Man 2 in a daze.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know about you, Anthony. Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Your choice of movie is kind of scary to me.
I mean, Captain America 2 had changed my view of Marvel movies, period. Like, I liked them, and I've been a pretty big DC guy until then. Until seeing that movie, I'm like, everything's changed now. Not just the story of the entire universe, but my view on it. Just, I'm like, everything's changed after that movie. I left in quite a daze, a fog of, I don't know. It was something.
It was like, I can't believe they pulled this off. The problem with DC is the only good superhero movies they do right now is this guy. That's about it. That's it.
For those not watching, Chris just held up his Batman bank.
My Batman piggy bank that I keep on my desk.
Did Batman knock down the walker off of that guy's microphone or something? That's crazy.
The problem that DC has, though, is that they're too scared to do a movie that isn't Batman or isn't Superman.
Hence why you've got Justice League .5 coming
Basically.
up before Justice League.
Yeah, they're just too scared to,
Justice League Hero.
they're
the
too
half
scared
issue.
to branch out into their other heroes, and they have such good heroes. They're scared of them.
Well, it's because sadly when they branch out, they bring us stuff like Green Lantern, and then people are mad.
Naki loves Green Lantern, though.
Yep.
I
So
saw
while
2 seconds of that
DC's
yesterday.
afraid, Marvel's throwing us rockets with machine guns because they'll branch out and do whatever the fuck they want because they're Marvel.
Yeah. Draftsman's brought up a good point on the Spider-Man side. He goes, we all want to love Spider-Man, but we want the rights to go back to Disney Studios so that Spider-Man can be in the Avengers.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yes.
Of course, but we all know that as long as Sony can pump out a film every 4 to 5 years, they get to keep the IP, and why would they not keep doing it? We're going to get a trilogy basically every 15 years as long as Sony can make money.
And now you're getting a Sinister Six movie coming up soon, too.
Yep.
Is
A
what
rumored
they've already
Sinister
said.
Six movie, a rumored Venom film. As long as they can make money, Sony's going to keep putting them out.
I think so. But I know we build this as the Star Wars Day, so we should probably move on to the Star Wars side of things. And
All right.
seeing as it is Star Wars Day, and a lot of this conversation we're going to have here came up because of the fact that it was probably about a week ago, Lucasfilm / Disney announced that pretty much the EU as we know it is gone. Nothing's retained from the EU. And I have mixed feelings personally, but that's probably because I've invested so much damn money into the expanded universe.
I am so angry about this, actually. I have been nerd raging for like a solid week. I'm so angry.
I think I would be angrier if I was still fully invested in the EU. If I hadn't stopped reading stuff about 4 or 5 years ago, I'd probably be really pissed.
Well, you see, for me, Star Wars was like my first nerd fandom. Like, I got into it when I was 12, and I saw the trilogy, and I immediately started reading the books. So it's all, like, my love of Star Wars is very much wrapped up into the EU. So, I mean, it's like my childhood. They're killing my entire childhood, and I'm very angry about it.
See, I still have a problem with Chris's choice of words. The EU is not gone. Those books are still on your shelves. All my comics are still in their boxes. It's all still there. They're just not going to reference it in the films.
Okay, see, this is going to get us in that argument with the issue I had with the new Star Trek also, is the fact that it's not gone, but it doesn't exist in canon anymore.
Well, in Star Trek, they did an alternate timeline thing, but it's like when people talk about, Michael Bay's raping my childhood and ruining comics that I read when I was a kid. Those comics are still in your boxes if you have them. They're not destroying the old shit even when they make new awful shit.
But
You
No,
still
Michael
have the
Bay
stuff
is-
that you grew up with.
But when
Michael
Michael Bay fucks up, like, the Transformers, I mean, the original stuff is still canon. I mean, if they take it and they make it not canon anymore, well, then what is the point of it? I mean,
Part
it's
of-
no better than a Star Trek book now.
yeah, part of what was so appealing nice shot right there.
Wow.
Part of what was so appealing about the Star Wars EU is the fact that when they started doing it, they built on this fact that Lucasfilm is officially approving these things, how they fit in, blah, blah, blah. Like, the
Yeah.
only thing that's not officially canon, I think, in the old stuff was, what was it, Splinter of the Mind's Eye? I think
Yeah,
that
they-
technically wasn't canon, but, like,
Yeah, and the Infinity Stories, which was
Yeah.
the Dark Horse version of Star Wars What Ifs.
I mean, let me make a point here. Shadows of the Empire was built on the fact that this whole comic, video game, multimedia extravaganza, this tells the story between episodes 5 and 6. That's what it was designed to be, and now, like, nope, doesn't exist. And I'm kind of like, I feel almost cheated, partly cheated, because I'm like, I spent so much time and invested so much into this, and now they're like, it doesn't exist. Thanks for your money.
Well, Timothy Zahn has gone on record recently saying that basically that they're not actually saying it's all gone, but they're just saying that it's not canon, so they can sit there and pick and choose what they want. Like, if they don't want to kill Chewie, they don't kill Chewie or whatever.
And see, I'm kind of happy on that fact that they'll try and pick stuff out of it to keep. I don't know. I'm really conflicted on this one. Sometimes I'm okay with it. Other times I'm nerd raging on it.
It's like
I think
all
it
that
just gives
stuff.
their writers freedom.
That is exactly
Whoever's
what it
writing
does.
the script for 7, 8, 9 can pull anything they want from the EU, but they're not. Nothing is set in stone where they have to use any of it.
Yeah. The problem I have is like he's licensed all this stuff, but he's never really like kept a heavy hand on it, or like really kept track of it. You've got the video games coming out that just didn't like have anything to do. Yeah, Force Unleashed. If you could do the Dark Forces, you know, they have Kyle Katarn, but they don't use him at all in like the expanded universe. They kind of like
He's in the books a little bit.
a little bit, just a little bit, and it's like, why don't you guys like come together and like make a story that is cohesive?
See, when I look at it, 'cause I don't know a whole lot about the EU. I mean, I know a few little things. I look at it as how I look at the TV show Jericho, how they had the comic books and stuff, and if like something like Netflix ever brought it back, I wouldn't want them to produce what I read in the comic books. I'd want them to do something different with it. Like, I think that's what I think they're doing over with Star Wars, is that they're saying, okay, we had 30 years worth of these books and everything, and a lot of these people who are diehard fans who have already read these books know what's going to happen. So why don't we go somewhere else with it?
I'm going to slightly respectfully disagree with you. I would pay good money to see a movie version of the Thrawn trilogy.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yes,
and also,
yes.
also,
Well, then you make it.
I can't. Disney will sue me.
Just change some names. There you go.
they also didn't need to like completely adapt a book from the EU in order to make this movie. They could have just let the movies pick up where the EU leaves off. And they probably could have gone to a different part of the universe, told a different story. There are things that they could have done without completely getting rid of the entire EU. I mean, the movie is supposed to take place, 35 years after Return of the Jedi? That's about where the EU is. They could have just picked up where the EU leaves off.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The hard sell there is for your kid who likes to watch Clone Wars and has seen the movies to jump into a movie that deals with everything that's happened in the EU over that time frame. It could be jarring, for lack of a better term.
Well, they could tell a new story from it.
That's
They could
true.
have basically at that point, all you would have is you would just have the universe in the state that it's left and your characters, and then they could just pick up and start and tell a new story and not have to. That way, you wouldn't have to have a encyclopedic knowledge of what happens in the EU to understand it.
That's true. Draftsman's brought up in the chat room. He said, they're not killing your childhood. They're not destroying our childhood. They're repackaging it and selling it back to you piece by piece. He also continues, they do not want you to have to deal with all the nerd rage that Lucas dealt with in the first 3 movies. And his question here, bottom line, did you buy and consume the EU for the content, or was it solely because it was supposed to be canon for a future movie that at one point was believed to be a long shot at ever happening?
Well, but I mean, I think that part of the enjoyment of the content is the fact that it was canon. It doesn't have anything to do with like buying it because it's canon, but I mean, that very much leads into, if you're reading about Han and Leia's child, like the reason why you care about them is because it's canon. This person is their child. Like that leads to the enjoyment of the content.
Well, I mean, at this point, since everything that happened in the EU doesn't technically exist in the movie world, we could go into Star Wars 7 and see that Han and Leia broke up 2 months after the explosion of the Death Star.
And never had the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do I think that'll happen? No, but
Yeah,
I think I just realized why the Star Wars thing doesn't bug me that much, and it's because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You want to talk about canon versus the films? The Marvel movies are a mix of the Marvel regular 616 universe and the Ultimate Universe. And basically from the start of their new cinematic universe, there's just no way to fight it. Sam Jackson is Nick Fury. And in the Marvel 616, Nick Fury is an old white guy. In the Ultimate Universe, he was actually based visually on Sam Jackson. And so they've been mishing that stuff together. The new Amazing Spider-Man films are half Ultimate Spider-Man, half Spider-Man stories. And so I guess because I've become so used to that, the idea of Star Wars mix and matching some of the stuff that's canon with stuff that's not, maybe that's why it doesn't bother me as much.
But the real difference here, though, is that there's no expectation of these Marvel movies fitting into the comic book world. Like, Lucasfilm has done a lot of stuff, especially when you're doing the prequel stuff. This book fits into the time frame between these books. Like Shatterpoint, you talked about in the pre-show, you'd read that. That was canon because it explained a lot of Mace Windu's backstory in the movies and things like that. None of that exists either. So that's part of... I know they weren't going to do it, but they probably should have tried to pick and choose what they kept. And that would have been even worse. People still would have raged, I'm sure. But some of that stuff really does have a place in the Star Wars mythos still, I think.
Did they say if the Clone Wars, the TV series, is that no longer canon?
Clone Wars, the TV series, and Star Wars Rebels are the only things outside of the movies that are canon at this point.
Okay.
Everything else is no longer canon.
I would like to mention that under the new canon, like, Boba Fett isn't alive anymore. He just got eaten by the Sarlacc, which, that really sucks.
I'm sure they'll change that because I suppose they're looking at doing Boba Fett movies.
Yeah, but they could be prequels, and we know how great Star Wars prequels are.
Oh, yeah. Did they say that they were going to do the Han Solo books?
You should call him Han Solo.
That would be cool. Well, Lando calls him Han also. It's okay.
Yeah. I think
they talked about doing a Han movie, but I'm not sure if it would be based on the books.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do those, though. Those were good books.
Those were good books.
They were. They were really good books. Let's see. Big Pop in the chat room goes, I guess I don't understand the frustration. I read Star Trek books as a kid, which aren't canon. They were fun. I still enjoy watching Spider-Man 1 movie, but it's not canon in Spider-Man 2 movies anymore. But not canon in Spider-Man movies anymore. The movie example, let's toss that out, because they're always rebooting that stuff. And I will say this, the current line of Star Trek books are canon to the Star Trek universe, the old one that they're putting out, because I've read some of them, because I dabble. Draftsman's also said, guys, we're nerds. We can hold two ideas, stories, and deal with it without our heads exploding.
That's true.
We can, but people on the internet choose not to most of the time. Let's be honest.
People have the things they love, and I understand that. And because some people, me especially, loved a lot of these things they read, and now that it kind of feels like they're saying, "Joke's on you." They're not here anymore. I know they are, but I don't know. I don't have the right words to
describe. We just want to rage for the sake of raging.
Well, in some ways, it feels a little like disrespectful to the people who have been fans of the books and who have been fans of Star Trek, and it's a little bit like they're pulling the rug out from under us. I mean, I know the books are still there, like they're on my shelf, but they do lose a little bit of the enjoyment of the idea that they're not canon anymore.
And I think a lot of it's going to depend on what they do with Episode 7. If they do a bunch of stuff in Episode 7 that makes it so anything you've read before probably couldn't have happened, you're going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, me never reading the books, I guess I just don't see it, because I wasn't really particularly pissed off with the prequels. Like, I didn't like Jar Jar Binks, of course, but, like, and midichlorians being less magical, more science, I mean, I just looked at it as, well, over time, when the Jedi Order died, it turned into myth, like everything else. So I guess I just don't see where all the anger is coming from. I don't know.
I can understand the anger. I mean, I don't have like the insane back knowledge of the extended universe by any means. I think I've read maybe 3 books, and I've just picked up the Darth Bane books.
Okay.
So like, I don't have extended, but I could see where people would be upset because, it's like taking something that people have invested so much time and money into. They were saying, we have, like, they've made the teases, like, we have people reading all these canon stuff so that things stay in the universe and everything like that. They like, made that effort to say, we're trying to keep things as canon as possible, and then, like, not even 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, hey, no, it's not. Just kidding. We're not doing any of that. So I think that's where the frustration came from, because it was, they had said all these things and then took it all away.
Looking in the chat room, Leroy, Big Papa just gave you an internet high five based off what you'd said.
Nice.
And then high five back to you, Big Papa.
Maybe I guess that's where the problem is, because I still kind of look at it like, if you want to talk about canon going into films, you look at the Amazing Spider-Man 50 years of comics going into the Raimi films, and the difference being that Lucas did actually try to make stuff that fit into canon, made the stuff the expanded universe all fit, and then now they're stopping it. I guess it's like in the Marvel films, they just never even tried. They're like, you know what, fuck you. The comic readers are going to come see the movie anyways. So we're going to do whatever the hell we want, ignore whatever that we want that's canon that we don't like, and just make movies for the general public.
I think that's where the rage began, though, or like not with the Marvel stuff, but with the Star Wars stuff, because they said we're going to try and keep this canon, we're going to try and keep everything as much as we can, and then they went back on it, and that's where the rage started.
Well, let me take you back to some of my nerdier days. Let me take you back to some of my nerdier days here. Let's talk early 2000s when I was a regular poster on the Force.net's message boards, where we would get in arguments as to what was canon and what wasn't in the literature forums. And these arguments would span like 167 pages before sometimes we'd be like, oh, yeah, I guess we sort of are saying the same thing.
Nerd rage!
Yeah, there were some real bad nerd arguments had back in that day, and they were fun. And
I mean, with thinking about nerd arguments about Star Wars, I couldn't go without saying that Greg and I had a nerd argument once over Star Wars, and I was telling him that one of my favorite characters that doesn't get that much screen time is the Imperial Engineer, the guy in the Death Star who goes like this when they get ready to push the button to blow off. And he said, no, that's an Imperial officer. And we argued, I swear to God, we were going up to Pittsburgh to see, I think, The Dark Knight in IMAX. And we argued for the better part of an hour until we realized that we both understood what we're talking about. And it was just a simple misunderstanding. And the third friend in our car, like, you guys really argued for an hour over Imperial officers, Imperial engineers. I'm like, yeah, it was very important.
That's awesome. That's what happens when you love something.
The friendship just grew because of it.
I mean, honestly, like I said, I'm not even as huge into the extended universe as some of you guys are. But when I went to the Star Wars Celebration in Florida, that was literally one of the most enjoyable cons I went to, because everybody was just there for Star Wars, and they were all there to enjoy the same thing. And it's not like when you go to Comic-Con, you get like those people who are just like, I'm only here for DC, or I'm only here for Marvel, and you start. There's little fights that happen, but like with the Star Wars universe, like everybody knows what's going on and everybody's calm and everybody just wanted to have a good time. And it's very different going to something like that versus going to, a Comic-Con. But then with this happening, like I'm wondering, is that same calm con that I went to a couple of years ago, is it still going to be like that, or are we going to have the new Star Wars versus the old Star Wars?
Well, my opinion, yeah, it's going to still be like that because we have a Star Wars movie coming out next year, and everyone's going to get fixated by that.
Well, as it is, there's still people that say, like, they're Holocaust deniers. There's only 3 Star Wars films. Like, they don't believe the prequels happened. So now you're going to have a third set that don't believe the third set of movies happened.
We talked about this a little bit on the Gonna Geek podcast, and I'd like to bring this point up so you guys can send some hate mail to nightwing@gonnageek.com, where we had to rate the Star Wars movies, where we talked about our preference in order, and I think his number 4 was Phantom Menace, ahead of Return of the Jedi and Attack of the Clones.
What?
Feel free to send your hate wing to nightwing@gonnageek.com.
Oh, man.
Why?
He's a flip-top head French Canadian.
Because he likes space politics and blockades, I guess. But feel free to send your hate mail there.
He's a huge fan of trade embargoes.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say for the record that I am full of rage about the EU thing, but none of that's going to stop me from going to the new Star Wars movie, midnight showing, probably dressed up. Like, none of it's going to stop me from.
And that's why they knew they could do it.
Well, see, and I think that's the difference between when they talk about, like the different stuff that's coming out with Star Wars and, say, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Hulks. Because I will not be spending any fucking money on that film. I will not go see 300-pound Hulk ninjas that look like
Michael Bay and your diarrhea.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, though. I will go see Star Wars the night it comes out, probably, because
it's still going to be a new Star Wars film, and you're hoping it's going to be great.
And I'll tell you right now, I'll love it. Like, the movie, I'll love it. There's no way I won't, so.
We'll go see it 10
I'm
times.
still going to love the movie.
So, just a reminder, guys, nightwing@gonnageek.com. Send your hate mail there. I implore you guys so that we can talk about it both on this show and on the Gonna Geek podcast later.
And his love of trade embargoes.
Big Papa has confirmed in the chat room that is, in fact, his email address over on gonnageek.com, because I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
Nice.
Suddenly, email bombs.
So we've bitched a little bit about the EU changing. One of the things I did want to bring up is what do you guys, some of you guys' favorite and maybe least favorite things or books or entities or pieces that have happened in the EU? Like, for instance, I'll start off. One of my favorite things the EU ever did was Michael Stackpole and Aaron Alston writing the Star Wars X-Wing books.
Yes.
Fantastic series. I haven't read the last one that Aaron Alston wrote just before he passed away because I'm kind of hesitant to do so because it means I'll never read another new Aaron Alston X-Wing book.
That's really, really sad. It's a very good book, though. You should read it.
It is. I heard it brings in Wraith Squadron again, so I don't know. I loved those books growing up. Well, not growing up, but when I was younger, because they're not the stories of like Luke and Leia. They're the stories of like Wedge Antilles and all of his pilots, and it's the military. It's not a lot of the Jedi until Corran Horn becomes a big Gary Stu. Big Gary Stu. I mean, for instance, that's one of my favorite things.
I wish I would have read those. I kind of avoided those completely.
I did too at first, and then I picked up one of them in my middle school library and read book 1 of the Rogue Squadron series, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome! And then I found out they wrote comics about it too, and that was bad.
I avoided them for a little while because whenever I would read a Star Wars book, I'd kind of like glaze over during a dogfight because it looks beautiful on the screen, but it's not super exciting to read. And I thought that I wouldn't enjoy the X-Wing books, but they're actually really phenomenally good.
They are, and then they got me playing the X-Wing Flight Sim games too, and those are also phenomenal.
Oh, those were really good.
Ooh, those are great.
X-Wing
TIE Fighter
Alliance.
one?
Yeah, that one, X-Wing Alliance, where you get to fly the Millennium Falcon, is also badass.
Oh, speaking of games, Steam has all of the Star Wars games for $6.80 today.
Is it all of them, or was it just the Jedi Knight game?
Is it just
sections of it?
It's
All of them are like 33.
Oh.
That's including like you know, all the ones that you love.
So what I'm
Battlefront.
saying right now is I'm going to Steam right now.
Yeah.
Someone else will have to take over the show for a minute.
I bought all the Jedi Knight ones because I didn't have all those. And
Wow,
those-
yeah, the Star Wars collection with 14 games in it for $33.99.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be buying that later.
Yeah, Battlefront 2, Jedi Outcast, Dark Forces 2, Republic Commando, awesome game. Oh, this
Did you
is
see the best is the sequels in the Dark Knight or the trilogy. It's like Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, and then it's Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. They
Right.
kind of messed that up.
Well, and then they've got also, man, this has 2 of my favorite games in it, both Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Did anyone else ever play those ones?
I played it.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
KOTOR 1 still has one of the best twists in a game ever.
Indeed.
twist.
Yes.
I didn't get that far.
It's very
but
well written.
For those that aren't familiar, the Knights of the Old Republic games take place, what is it, like couple thousand years before Episode 4? Or Episode 1, I guess, technically. It's
Yeah,
literally the Sith
Yeah, it's either
invasion
1,000
galaxy.
years in the past or 10,000 years in the past. Like it's way, way back.
It is, and they did some awesome things in there, like they set up the Yuzong Vong invasion as a throwaway line in Knights of the Old Republic. So if you haven't played those, go on Steam. They're like $3.90 a piece or whatever for KOTOR 1 and 2.
do it.
Yeah, do it. You can also get KOTOR 1 on your iPad if you're an iOS user. It's like $10 there, I think.
And is that the one that you get to see? Who is it? Master Vendar, the little blue version of Yoda's race.
Vandar, I think, or something like that. I think he's in that one.
One of the few other times you see another person of Yoda's race in the Star Wars expanded universe. There are very few of those little midget dudes.
Right, I think you're right. I don't remember 100%. It's been so long since I played those games. I bought them on a Steam sale last Christmas to go back and play them again, but haven't got around to it yet. Let's see. What was one of the other things I was thinking about from the EU that I really loved? Shadows of the Empire. We talked about it earlier, just because it filled the gap between 5 and 6, and it was awesome. They put out their own soundtrack for it. There were video games and comics, and that's what made me buy an N64 when I was a kid, is I wanted to play Shadows of the Empire.
That was actually like a consensus type thing to see if people will still like actually buy into Star Wars. If they were trying to figure out if people would go see another Star Wars movie, and they did that with Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah. It was awesome game, awesome story that it told, even though Dash Rendar is really kind of OP.
Yeah, he did nothing else in this series.
I think they tried to bring him back in one of the comics and just indicated that he's still alive, but that was about it.
I want to say he showed up in one of the later books, but I can't
No.
remember which one.
Now I'm
or
going to go
why
to
I did that.
Wikipedia and find out.
Hooray for Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Yay.
While I'm doing that, what is some of you guys' other fond memories of the EU?
Well, someone's got to mention the Thrawn trilogy, which
There you go.
pretty much.
I was waiting for somebody
Oh.
to say it.
I
Starts
keep
off
hearing
with-
about all these books, man. I need to just make a list and
Dark
just start-
Horse did comics of the Thrawn trilogy. You can pick up the collected hardcover if you
Which
want.
those I have in my
You
Amazon wish.
want?
I have it on my bookshelf. It's fantastic.
They're so good. I mean, Thrawn is he's an amazing villain. You know, you always get the feeling that he's always one step ahead of them. He's always smarter than they are. Dude, he's really good. It introduced Mara Jade, who's probably my favorite character in the expanded universe ever.
Right.
And it's just incredibly well-written trilogy.
According to the Wikipedia, the Outrider appeared to be destroyed at the end of Shadows of the Empire. Rendar merely faked his death to avoid reprisals from Black Sun and the Empire. In the following years, he teamed up with the human replica droid Yuri, forming a mercenary team, and eventually establishing a company to create more HRDs, including a replica of his own brother.
Okay.
I didn't know any of that.
I know I've got two, because mine was always the Dark Horse comics is what really got me into Star Wars outside of the films. And so my favorite thing is Legacy by John Ostrander, primarily penciled co-scripted by Jan Dracima, and I pulled up the Wikipedia page so I'd make sure I get it right this time. Set predominantly at 137 years after the Battle of Yavin, chief protagonist Cade Skywalker, a descendant of the Skywalker family, who has given up his Jedi heritage to pursue a life as a bounty hunter.
Ooh.
A fucking bounty hunter Skywalker is one of the coolest things ever. Then the artwork on that book is amazing. The storyline was great. It introduced the one true Sith, Darth Krayt, all these badass supervillains. Just a great book. That's probably my favorite Star Wars thing ever. And the second one would be one that I know everybody will agree on. Star Wars Lego.
Obviously.
Nobody doesn't love Star Wars Lego.
Yeah,
Going
that's
back
true.
on Star Wars Legacy, I bought him the omnibus of it. It's if you want to get into Star Wars Legacy, Dark Horse has the big omnibus hardcovers, and they're totally worth the investment.
And they have a bunch of them on sale right now for Star
Nice.
Wars Day on their digital site. Like I picked up all the X-Wing omnibuses for $8 each.
Nice.
So, Naki, you got it for Keith?
Yeah.
Have you read it yet, Keith, or did you just get it?
I'm like halfway through it. I forgot what the last plot point was that he did. It's been a while. I've been getting a lot of books in recently.
Sorry, I got him into comic books, so he's now reading a lot of books.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel your pain. I've very recently gotten into comic books too, and it's a lot. It's a lot to catch up on.
Draftsman said in the chat room he reads Rogue Squadron, really liked the Han Solo books, and he goes, I still like the fact that we all pick and choose. We remember what we love. Guys, relax. I'm sure the Star Wars Holiday Special is still canon, and we will all be Chewie's family again.
We were watching that. We were watching that around Christmas.
We tried to watch
It was a
around-
bad idea.
So here's my question. How many of you guys have seen the Holiday Special?
I haven't seen the whole thing.
No,
I've never seen it.
bits and pieces. I can never find it.
Bits and pieces.
I can't
Oh,
bring
I've
myself to do it. I'm
When
afraid
it's
I'll
brought
hate
up, I've
myself.
seen little clips of it, and those little clips make me not want to watch it.
You can buy it with the RiffTrax treatment on rifftrax.com.
Oh no.
Oh, there you go. There's a way to get it.
That might be worth it.
I'm in
He
trouble.
has the subscription to RiffTrax, so everything that RiffTrax does, I get to see.
There's not really a subscription. It's more like me just buying all of it.
Like I said, subscription.
There you go.
And so I just checked on Amazon right now. The comic version of the Thrawn trilogy. It's 420 pages on Amazon. You can get it for $24 right now.
Nice.
It is really good. It is a very good adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy. They cover most everything that's in the books in it.
See, what I really want to see is I want to see an animated version of it. If they don't do a movie of it, just do an animated version or something.
Well, here's what I said when we heard the news that Disney bought Star Wars. I wanted a Pixar Thrawn trilogy.
Yes!
Yes.
There you go.
Didn't you just bawl the whole time, though? Pixar's really good at making you cry.
They wouldn't change the story to make you... No, they just put Woody in the background dying all the time.
All of them holding hands as they're about to get crushed or lit on fire or something like that. Oh, there's a Star Wars omnibus for Shadows of the Empire? I should not go on Amazon and look up Star Wars.
Don't do it.
It will cost you money dearly.
If you can't tell, Keith is actually on his phone right now buying everything on Amazon.
No.
It's not a bad choice, though. There's some good stuff to be had.
I want to... Go ahead.
Did you see? I know we're still in the Star Wars topic. Did you see the bundle that Dark Horse is doing for their May the 4th Mega Bundle? There's over 100 issues of Star Wars comics for $100.
God damn it.
It is
Oh,
what did
the
they say
mega
here?
bundles.
It is 3,768 pages of Star Wars comics that lists for $467. You get for 100.
Oh man.
It has, let's see, all of the ongoing Star Wars so far that Brian Wood's doing, Agent of the Empire, the Blood Ties series, Crimson Empire 1 and 2, Dark Empire 1 and 2, Dark Times, Darth Maul's Death Sentence, Dark Ghost, Dawn of the Jedi, Legacy Volume 2. There's a lot in here, guys. Star
Is it
Wars
a
The Old
Union?
Republic. Sorry?
Nice. I love Dark
Union.
Empire.
Star Wars Union, where they have the
They did
the
not
wedding.
have Union in this bundle, actually.
I have like 2 issues of it, and I'm really mad that I didn't get it the other ones when they were out.
I have most of them, but they're beat to hell.
Yeah. They're old. They're really old.
I remember reading them on the comic book rack at the Base Exchange in Belgium when we lived over there, and I was like, "Ooh, this is awesome!"
Yeah.
Because that was about the same time I read Vision of the Future, the Zahn book. I'm like, Luke Skywalker's getting married? This is crazy.
Nerdgasm.
Pretty much. I'm a slightly reformed huge Star Wars nerd. I don't love it as much as I used to, just because I got a little burnt out.
There's a lot out there.
It'll
Yeah,
come
Like
back.
a lot.
Yeah. By the time Episode 7 comes out, I'll be fully back and invested again, I'm sure. It's
I mean,
back.
that's how I get with superheroes, is I get burnt out. There's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, I can't do it much anymore, but I really like the new Jedi Order. That was good. The Yuuzhan Vong War.
John Vong, yeah. The only thing I didn't like in there is how they set up Anakin Solo to be the big hero, and then George Lucas was like, no, you guys got to kill him. I got an Anakin coming up in the prequels. That's why Anakin Solo died in the New Jedi Order.
Were they afraid that people would confuse Anakin Solo with Anakin Skywalker? or
That's
something?
exactly
Yeah.
what they were afraid of.
What? That's ridiculous.
Probably. Most companies and producers, all those people go with the idea that the standard public viewer is an idiot.
Yeah, if you've been reading the New Jedi Order books as they came out, like Anakin Solo hadn't been in much at the beginning, and then they started building him up as this huge hero, as this huge player in there, and then he abruptly gets killed in one of the big books, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I cried so hard when he died. I was just
Yeah,
not
that one was
expecting
rough.
it.
That was really rough. But New Jedi Order had one of my favorite Star Wars books of all time in it just because it's so different. We talked about it in the pre-show. It's a book called Traitor by Matthew Woodring Stover.
So good.
It changed my fundamental view of what the Force was, and then they wrote it out of canon. But basically, what they came down to there is there's no dark or light side of the Force. It's all about your intent behind how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I kind of got that from reading Dark Empire. When Luke gets up to like a Yoda level of using the Force and is crushing AT-ATs by just looking at him, and he realizes, yeah, there's no good or bad. It's just what you do with it.
Well, and I think that the EU was always trying to like push like a more philosophical and nuanced version of the Force, and they kept getting knocked back by Lucas because it wasn't canon.
Mhm.
So I
And
guess it's
midi-chlorians.
another. Yeah, I guess it's another
Yeah.
reason why I'm a little sad, because I think the EU is in some way, changed in the philosophical ideas of the Force. They always kept getting knocked back because George Lucas would come in and say that that's not the way it is. So, I mean, it was always being changed because it was supposed to be canon.
Right. I mean, you can go on a lot of the old Star Wars message boards and stuff, and you can read a lot of these arguments people have had about canon was a huge sticking point for a lot of fans. What is and what isn't, and how things fit in until they actually put their official timeline out at one point. But it was a big deal. I will say one of my favorite things that is gone with the EU is the book The Crystal Star, I think is what it was called,
Oh,
Bad
so
book.
bad.
with Waru. Don't read it if you're reading any of the old Star Wars stuff.
I do know another one that I love, the new book that's coming out from Dark Horse. I'm not sure when it's ending, but Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, where they're actually showing where all the Jedi first came together. That, so
bought
far,
those.
the first trades of those are really good.
Yeah,
That
I just
could be
bought
good.
both of those. It's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we talked about today, and being as Star Wars Day, now I want to buy it, so I'm going to have to practice some self-control.
Move to cart, move to cart.
It's not that I thankfully own already, so it keeps me out of trouble, but this May the 4th Mega Bundle that Dark Horse is doing is just sitting here taunting me.
That
Yeah.
is tempting.
It's a lot of money, though, on comics. I'm not quite ready to do it.
One of my biggest like shames and confession as a Star Wars nerd is that I've never read Dark Empire. I couldn't find it when I was wanting to read it in the past. So.
It was really hard to find for a
Yeah,
long time.
It went out of print for a long time. The copy I have is from a first printing, and it's beat to hell because I had to pick it up at a used bookstore.
Yeah, I never could find it anywhere. So I might end up having to buy that.
Yeah, and Dark Empire 2 is not quite as good, but it's still a very interesting story, if that makes sense.
They also have an audiobook for that, which is really weird, and Billy D. Williams does Lando in it.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
Nice.
It's pretty. It's like a radio drama. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, and on one other thing, if you don't want to do the mega bundles, they've got a lot of the omnibuses on sale on Dark Horse's site for $7.99 or $9.99, depending. And the first 3 volumes of the X-Wing series are available on there, and I just picked those up yesterday and started doing it. So if you liked X-Wing, this is the stories that take place before the books and in between some of the books.
You see, you guys have been talking about all this, and now it makes me want to hit up the yard sales this summer because I'm a cheap ass. So,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna try to find all these books at yard sales because I know every time I went to yard sales, I'd always see Star Wars books, and I'm like, well, nah, and I'd walk by. And now that I want to look for them, I probably won't find them.
Actually, no joke, look at your public libraries because they have a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek books, it seems. Like the one here in town had a bunch of Star Wars books, and I was like, huh, I had no idea. So that's another good way to pick them up and read them for cheap.
Yeah, and that works for the graphic novels too if you have a really good library.
Exactly.
My college library has them.
Yeah. I had the whole new Jedi Order at my library, which was great. I didn't
That's
buy any of
fantastic.
those.
That is fantastic. But looking at the time here, I know we started a little late, but I kind of have a hard out. I got to leave my house in 10 minutes to do some stuff, so I'll probably start wrapping up. And we'll do an abbreviated wrap-up. Anyone have any closing thoughts on anything we've talked about today or final thing they want to say farewell to in the Star Wars EU? Any takers?
I wish it
Yeah,
would have
there's
been Battlefront
spiders,
3.
and Keith is playing with it. Make Keith stop playing with the spider.
Keith,
Oh, that
keep
is a
playing with
spider.
the spider. Nice.
Why?
I had to do it.
Well, from a personal point, I'm going to say I had a lot of fun on Star Wars Day talking Star Wars with a bunch of like-minded individuals, so thanks for that, guys.
We need 12 more hours of this, actually.
No
That'd
doubt.
be fun.
I just put $35 worth of Star Wars books in my Amazon cart now.
Oh,
Cost
God,
me
what'd you
more
put
money.
in there?
The Thrawn hardcover and then the next Rise of the Jedi trade.
Nice.
Jelly.
Good
I'm
choices.
jealous.
Good choices.
Those are all good choices, but a big thank you to all of our guests for joining us in our farewell to the EU.
Thank you.
Hopefully we've kind of reached out and maybe gotten you guys interested in some new pieces. Those of you that are listening or watching live and like, I didn't know that existed in Star Wars. I have to see it now because there's some really, really good stuff out there. And
Yes, there
I'm
is.
biased, though, because I spent a lot of my younger days reading all of it and consuming it. So by you buying and reading those things and talking about them, it validates all the time I spent on them. So please do so.
That's right. Pass on the nerd.
Exactly.
Share the love.
But I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. Any of our guests have anything they want to plug before we wrapped up? I forgot to ask that earlier on.
Yeah, I can go real quick. The website's lettus.com. I'm a fellow podcaster from West Virginia, just like Chris. And also, I want to throw out there, does anyone have the Nerd Trivia app for their phone?
I do not.
No.
Nope.
I mean, I have an iPhone. I don't know if it's on Android or not. It's basically every day from like 11 to like 7 o'clock at night on the East Coast. They'll send you 1 hour questions, and if you're the first 5 responders to it, you'll be tweeted out on their account, like you get nerd cred basically. And today it's all about Star Wars, obviously. For the first time ever in my playing of Nerd Trivia, I became the first responder out of like 300-400 people.
That's awesome.
And it was on the question
Yay.
about what Han Solo was frozen in. So
Nice.
carbonite, yeah. And my phone's always so slow, but today I got it while we were talking. So
Yay.
happy Star Wars Day to me, everybody.
Yes.
Must be with you.
But thank you for having me on, and it's always fun.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Keith?
having me on too. This has been a really good time.
Yeah, thank you, Keith and Danielle, for joining us. I'm sure we can get Keith back at one point. It's easy enough to do now.
Yeah, I'm usually around.
Smells weird.
He's been in the background on a few in the past. I don't know if anyone's realized that that's listened.
Well, it's about Star Wars, so I have to talk about it. I will not talk about anything else, but Star Wars I could talk about forever.
So
And
we should
ever.
tentatively book you to come on the show after Star Wars 7 comes out, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Oh
my
No
God!
hesitation, I like it. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Don't forget, we stream live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, and do the math for the rest of the time zones because I don't want to, over at live.atgnpodcast.com. Stay up to date with what's going on with the show because we'll put it on both Twitter and Facebook. So if you go to Twitter at ATGNpodcast or Facebook.com/allthingsgoodandnerdy, you'll find all the latest news. But that wraps us up for this week, and we will see you next week for another brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy. Bye, guys.
May the fourth be with you.
May the
May the
with you
fourth
indeed.
be with you.
Revenge of May 5th!